Hello, my beautiful humans, and welcome to the Becoming Human 2.0 Unscripted Podcast. I'm your host, Paul McFadden, and it's my mission to create global impact by cultivating real connection through having authentic conversations that matter. Today, I'm joined by my special guest, Rafael Gomez, also known by many as Sifu Rafael, another exceptional human being residing in the state of New York, USA. In this episode, we discuss how to align mind, body, and purpose to live an abundant life. And of course, this conversation was completely unscripted. Here's a quick peek, and then we'll jump right into the conversation. So enjoy. And remember, we are all here to discover, awaken, and evolve together.
If you wake up in gratitude, you will live a better life. You will be grateful for everything, for a butterfly. Listen, somebody says, "Oh, that's a bug." I said, "That's a beautiful bug. That's a gross looking bug." Yes, but it's still a living creature. Did you see that person? They're so nasty. I said, maybe they were put here on purpose to challenge someone to become better. Even a nasty person, a rotten person, has a purpose.
Yeah.
We may not like what they say. We may not even like what they do. And sometimes when they do it to us, we like it even less. But guess what? There is a purpose in life.
Hello, my beautiful human, Rafael, my brother. It is so wonderful to be with you today. I've been waiting for this conversation. Like I say that to everybody. I've been waiting for this conversation, and I think I've been waiting for the conversation because I know that I'm with another change maker, a seeker, a pioneer, a visionary, a person that really is just trying to make a significant impact in the world. And because I know you and I know your heart and I know your energy, I'm always looking forward to the conversation. We know each other. You're in my incubator tribe, so we certainly are more connected than most people that I have on the show. However, that aside, you're just a wonderful human being, and I knew we were going to have a great conversation. And it doesn't matter when we connect or what we talk about. I just know it's always going to be amazing. So thank you for stepping on the stage and for being here with me today.
Paul, you're not the only one that has been looking forward to this conversation either, right? I was excited when we booked this, and I said, how can I help my brother to elevate the people that need to be part of the tribe? How do we bring more people into the incubator, right? And when I think of incubator as a place of warmth, of giving, of love. And thank you for allowing me to be part of this conversation and to be part of the tribe.
I really appreciate that. And this is really about providing value. And part of that is, or making impact. These things are going to change people's lives. And I use language intentionally. It's very intentional when I use language because I think about what's the legacy, what do I want people to walk away with, and when they walk away, it's not something they just put on the shelf and say, "Oh, that was a great conversation, Paul. Awesome." Put it away. I wanted to be like, man, that was a really interesting conversation. I need to think about that. And how does that apply to me? And what does that mean to my life, my existence? And And I know you're the same way. I mean, you have an amazing story. Like everybody's got an amazing backstory. Everybody's got a story, right? And I certainly would love to summarize your story so the people that are listening to this episode obviously get a look at who Sifu Raphael is.
Mm.
And and I know the story, but I think it's so impactful that people need to hear it. And you'll share with my guests, Sifu Raphael has 9 shows.
Seven,
9.
seven,
7,
seven.
7 shows, and maybe another one on the horizon. Who knows? Because every week it changes. But and so obviously people have there are other people in other audiences that certainly have heard you speak and know your story. But I think that there are people that are going through things, particularly now, and I'm going to focus on all the stuff because I think people are familiar. If they're not familiar, then they're hiding under a rock or unplugged, and they're probably not even listening to this podcast, so they're not here. But there's a lot of things going on. I think we're navigating a lot. Before I came to this call, I was navigating something that was unexpected, and but yet I'm here and I'm present and I'm full on with you. And I think there's a reason why we can get to those places. And I think that, part of this is helping people understand that, hello, you know what? I'm a human being. This is a human being. We're having an experience, but we're having this experience together. And then when we make commitment and we're connected to someone, we show up
Mm.
and we show up as all of us, not just a percentage of us. We show up as the whole thing. And so if you're thinking about your experience and how you view yourself today,
Mm.
right? Who is Sifu Raphael?
Mm. Do you have 3 years?
We got time. How much time? How much time do we need? We got time.
Well, I want to go back to something you said earlier when you said less. It kind of, I'm going to bring it together to you kind of said less is more,
Mhm,
right? You're going to use less words because the words that we use do impact.
mhm,
If someone said to you, you're no good, and you heard those words over and over and over again, they're going to impact how you perform in the world.
mhm,
If you hear constantly, you're incredible, then you may act that way, but then other people are going to come back and say, no, you're not. So
mhm,
it's the words that impact everything about us. There's a saying that I came up with, or at least I think I did. It's the stories that amplify your life.
mhm,
And I strongly believe that it's the stories that we tell ourselves, the stories that we hear from others, the stories that we see unfold before us that impacts everything about us. So, who is Sifu Raphael? That's a great question. I didn't start out with the name Sifu, right?
mhm,
That's a title. For the longest time, we always have imposter syndrome at one point or another in our lives. But when we accept who we are fully,
mhm,
and the word Sifu, I teach Chinese martial arts, and in that it means teacher. It doesn't mean I'm better than you.
mhm,
It just means I can teach you something, maybe something you didn't know, help you comprehend the unknown, if you will.
mhm,
So my story started, I'm Colombian. I grew up in Colombia, and I didn't get to the US till I was about 3 days before my 8th birthday. But there were so many stories that occurred in my life before my 8th birthday. Being beaten on a regular basis was part of it. Having polio around the age of 3, where my legs turned backwards and I lost the ability to walk. And when I was able to walk, I wore braces like Forrest Gump. And every time I see that, I'm like, that was me. And when
mhm,
he ran out of those braces, I was like, that was me. It's almost like portion of that story was me where we had to overcome something. When I say we, it's me and everyone around me.
Mhm.
My parents, and I lived with my sister and her husband,
Mm.
and the abuse stopped. And that was glorious. And then I found out I was going to move to the US. And there is another tragic belief that everybody spoke my language.
Mm.
I I'm thinking I'm going to this great place that I hear all these great things about. I just didn't realize they spoke English and I'm speaking Spanish. And so therefore I come through this whole thing and I'm lost again.
Mhm.
But not only am I lost, but I'm coming back to a household where the beatings started again. Because I left my sister's house to come back and move in with my parents, who had the gift of saying, we need a better life. We need to move to the US from Colombia. I almost say Canada. I don't know why. Canada's got to be beautiful, I tell
That's
you.
got a beautiful place.
Yes, but so is Colombia, right?
Mhm. Absolutely.
But here's the crazy thing. I've never been back.
Mm.
I've had countless opportunities. My dad used to go back and forth several times a year, not because he was smuggling things, but because he had businesses there.
Right.
And every time he said, come, let's go to Colombia, I was like, no, I'm busy. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I always made an excuse not to go back.
Mhm.
Maybe in retrospect is because I didn't want what I left. And now I'm thinking, I didn't look at the whole picture because I left a place of beauty,
Mhm.
a place of my culture. I am who I am because I was born there.
Right.
So I get to this country, I don't know English. I go to school. I am the only Spanish kid in this school. Bullying started. Oh, by the way, I also went with a patch in my eye because I had a tragic accident in Colombia where I almost lost my eye. I had a pipe go through my head
Mm.
and it went through. I woke up, I was in a coma a couple of weeks. I woke up in the hospital. I'm leaving the hospital. I didn't remember the hospital at all. I remember leaving it.
Mhm.
And here's how funny life can be. This is a story that sticks with me, and every time I think of it, it's so funny. I'm by the elevator shaft being taken out, and that's when I woke up. And I realized that underneath the blanket, I was naked
Mm.
and I was in my dad's arms. Paul, do you want to know my only concern at that time?
Where are my clothes? What was the concern?
Somebody's going to see my ass.
Somebody's gonna see me.
No, not me, my ass.
My
They could
ass.
see my face. I was like, cover me. They're going to see my butt, right?
They're gonna see me. Yeah, it's all of it, everything. It's all hanging out.
So at that moment, I didn't even say what happened, nothing. I was just concerned about being seen in a different way.
Mhm.
And that has happened with all our lives. We want to be seen a certain way, but we don't always show up the way we want to be seen.
Mhm.
And so for me, those are huge lessons that I've learned along the way. Funny they may be, but they make us who we are. Our
Mm.
stories, our moments in time.
Yeah.
So here I am being bullied. Also, by the way, because I did not speak the language, I was put in first grade at
Mm.
8 years old.
Mhm.
I shouldn't have been in first grade, but guess what? That's okay. And so every time I get put down, I find a way to rise up.
Mhm.
I remember a teacher in second grade who, one teacher who decided to care about me,
Mhm.
THE, correctly. I had some problem. I don't know what it was. She took the time to help me.
Mm.
So there are heroes in our lives. I don't know her name. God sent her to me.
Mm.
He did not need me to know her name. He needed her to do right by me.
Right.
She was an angel. And we encounter angels in our lives at all times when we least expect them. So that's who I've become. Then I went into martial arts at 10 years old. I've been studying martial arts for 49 years. Don't do the math because it's hard to tell you. I'm about 25, right?
About
So I'm going
25.
to be, my fiance recently said to me, "Aren't you having a big birthday?" I said, "What are you talking about? I'm celebrating my 35th anniversary of my 25th birthday."
That's right.
That's when I'm celebrating. So all along, I understood that when no one else would stand up for me, the words I used lifted me.
Mhm.
When people said I'm no good, when I got beat, when I got put down, when I was made to feel less than, I rose
Mhm.
quietly, silently. I didn't tell anyone. For the most part, my parents didn't even know I started doing martial arts.
Mm.
When I was in an Inside Kung Fu magazine, the word is Inside Kung Fu, three words. Kung Fu is one word, I'm going to say it. So Inside Kung Fu, I was in that magazine, and the word is Kung Fu. I didn't tell anybody in my family.
Mhm.
When they found out, they said, "Oh, wow, you do karate?" I'm like, "It says Kung Fu."
Kung
Okay,
Fu.
sure, sure. But a lot of times, and I've had my martial arts school since 95,
Mhm.
right? I'm on 29th year, but I've been teaching since probably 92. And my family still thinks I do karate. The reason that they don't take enough concern about what I truly do is because I'm a bleep in their radar,
Mhm.
right? I'm not close to the center. So I don't matter as much.
Mm.
And I've learned to understand that that's okay. We don't choose our family, but we choose who we want to be around. And I choose you, my friend.
I love it.
I choose the people who are going to impact my life in a positive way. And for
Mhm.
all our listeners out there, this is a show you need to share with others. Paul is going to have not just me, I'm just a bleep, but he's going to have so many impactful people on this show who are going to share their story or an idea or a concept that's going to revolutionize your life. So listen to this show. Paul has done his due diligence. He's vetted everybody who's going to come on the show because he wants to impact the world. If we can touch the life of one person in this world, our life is worth something. I am worth something. Even if the whole world says he's no good, he's terrible, he's less than a bleep, he's half a bleep. I matter to me. I create the world I want to live in. You create the world that you want to live in. But we all have to share this world together.
Mhm.
Everybody in the world, there's over 8,000 people, eight,
8
800,000.
8 8 billion people.
No, 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 no. That are going to be listening to this show.
Oh, at
So
least a billion.
those, those 800,000, those 800 million, all those people are going to understand that they matter. When we get to the billion and the 4 billion and the 10 billion, Because eventually, if we do life right, we will live in a world with 10 billion people
Hmm.
and maybe more. But we can't do that unless we love each other and help each other to rise above all this nonsense that the current world has. So everybody lives in their own bubble, if you will.
Hmm.
But we have to share that bubble with the right people. There are going to be people out there who are going to put us down.
Hmm.
And guess what? You're not the only one they're going to put down. Because if that's who they are, they don't only stop at you. So disregard what they say about you because it really doesn't matter. What matters is what you believe you're meant to be. And that is who Sifu is.
I love it. Thank you for articulating that so eloquently, and lots of things to unpack. And I want to bring it together for everyone because I want to make sure everyone was listening because you dropped a lot of nuggets there. I think that first, the most important thing is we all tend to think about our experiences, all the things that have happened in the past, as things that we want to judge. And sometimes those things are good experiences, and those experiences are not so great, or we're going to say bad experiences. But regardless of how we want to judge those experiences, there are experiences and they help shape who we are in this moment. If none of those things had happened to you, if you never left Colombia, if all those things didn't happen to you when you moved to the States, the polio, all the other stuff, we probably wouldn't be crossing paths right now. And our paths cross because of the experience that you've had, just like the experiences that I had in my life, which all weren't rosy experiences, but those experiences shaped part of my personality. And in the moment that we met, that was because that's what needed to happen. It was serendipitous, but it was also, this was the track that we were on in our own individual journeys. And I think it's also eloquent, how you kind of describe the whole, there was someone who helped you along the way in the journey. And I think that for most of us, if not everybody, and I would certainly need to check statistics on this, but I think just anecdotally, when we hear this, we don't do this journey by ourselves. We think this is a solo journey. And we approach this whole human development, personal development space as though we're doing it all by ourselves. And we are human and we do get influenced by other people. And sometimes we do take in what people say. We have to get to a point in our own personal development where we can take that noise and put it to the side and become the captain of our soul and the master of our fate. We are the creators of our own destiny. But it's almost like, it's not that we don't know, it's like we've forgotten.
Mm,
We've forgotten. And then this importance about community, and I say community, but I mean community with purpose, right? And that's a little bit different than just getting together because we like these old style cars, or we like this sport, or we like to meditate together. And there's nothing wrong with getting in community around activities or to network. But when you have a purpose that's outside of you and you're getting together for that, because you are the world changer, you are someone that's actively seeking to evolve the version of you that the people are experiencing, that you are presenting in the world, that's a much different endeavor. And we need to cultivate this ecosystem where those ideals, those perspectives are being shared and actively pursued, and then the growth is then shared, and we have a mechanism for giving back, for communicating what we've experienced, what we've learned, so we can help the next person. When we can kind of get in that space, that's when evolution is happening. So
mhm,
I really appreciate you, my friend, because you're summarizing the entire experience of what being human kind of means,
mhm,
and what would best serve us to take away from the insights that you're sharing, because these things don't just happen overnight. right? We're here to experience the whole spectrum of emotions and all the things, right? And it's when you choose to not let those experiences and those emotions define you that we actually grow, right? Because we've decided not to suffer with the experience or the emotion behind the experience, but actually take, what did I learn from that experience? What did I learn about myself? You learn to persevere, never give up, to don't take what other people say as being your guiding force, your guiding light onto who you are. And so many times we get into, I mean, as humans, we all do. I mean, we're all guilty of being there. I mean, like you said, we've called it imposter syndrome. We call it a lot of things. But when we start allowing other people to kind of dictate who they see, and we start to believe that what they see is the true representation of us, that's when we've kind of lost. And so I see you as just as a reflection of me in the experience that you had. It's like, wow, that's what that experience was like, right? I learn something every single day when I interact with people because I see their experiences and I just think, wow, that's such a blessing or a gift to be able to hear the experience and then actually see you
Mm,
in your essence. And that to me is like the best experience of all. And that's what we try to cultivate, with what we do and the work we do. That's what I'm trying to cultivate with this particular podcast, this show. Yeah, I get to meet people around the world and jump into who they are and then kind of see it. It's almost like a play, but at the same token, you don't know what the outcome is going to be, but you're so grateful that you of all the experiences that were shared, because if those things didn't happen, we wouldn't be having a conversation,
oh, without a doubt.
right?
When you think of a conversation, it's how we actually communicate, right? When you first see someone, what's the reaction you have? How do you come across? What's your face saying, right? When I
Hmm.
see you, what's my body language? What's the first touch that we share, right? A handshake, maybe later on we get to know each other. Maybe it becomes a hug. Maybe it becomes an arm around as we're talking. Communication is the key to all great conversations. It's the key to everything we do with our lives. It's business related, it's relationship related. There's nothing else but business and relationships, and those are the connections that we need to cultivate
Hmm.
daily. What ends up happening is a lot of people get married and they stay married to the person they met,
Hmm.
and they don't grow with that person.
Hmm.
Or they don't grow themselves, and the other person grows, and then they fall apart. All of a sudden, what was somebody taking a little sip and maybe they slurped a little bit, and you're like, "Oh, that's so cute." And then later on, it's like, "That's so annoying." Right? So it's the fact that when we show up, we need to be in growth mode. We need to be in open mode. If you're gonna grow, Paul, and I'm going to be your friend, and you're doing something extraordinary, I'm going to say, how can I be of assistance? How can I help you? And I know we had this conversation because I did that with you. And that's how you grow a connection, a relationship, a business. Your business and your relationships cannot be back in time. You
Hmm.
can learn from them if you look back in time, but you need to progress. This is why I decided how important communication is, that I decided to open up a communication center. And
Hmm.
so we teach all kinds of courses, workshops, and it's the words we use. Sometimes if we say less, but we put emphasis on words, on the letters, on the sounds of them. Pardon, I don't know why my phone is going off. I apologize for that. I thought I had turned it off. So when we consider all the conversations that we can have on a given day, it's based on the words, the way we even say them, the
Mm.
body language that comes across. If somebody says something and you just throw your eye like that and you're like, oh, you don't understand or you don't like what I said. So it's every little detail. That's what makes us so beautifully unique.
Mhm.
Every individual, all there's more than 8 billion people. Maybe there'll be more.
Maybe
I'm
there'll be more.
hoping for more.
Mhm.
That's if we can come together, we will have more, right?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
there is abundance, and we need to be able to help the ones that are not doing well today and help them out. I
Yeah.
had a call with somebody this morning, and I said to them, listen, I normally charge for this. I don't want to charge you. I want to help you because you are an incredible human being and you need to be out there.
Mhm.
They're like, you're not going to charge me? I'm like, no. They're like, really? I said, I believe in you.
Mhm.
Because when we give a handout, we're going to receive more than our hand can actually hold.
That's right.
But when we give with a handout, all we're going to get is what our hand can hold. But when
Mhm.
you freely give, you can't even hold it with two hands. But so for me, the act of communication is how we treat each other, how we
Mhm.
have a conversation, how we share the knowledge that we have. Because knowledge without action might as well put some dirt on it because
Mm.
it's die right there.
It's just a vision. It's just a dream, you know. And it's so funny you just reminded me. I recently had a conversation with someone did the same thing, and it was the person was so in just with ingratitude with the fact that I even entertained having a conversation that I would normally charge, you know, a significant rate for. But because I knew where they were energetically, I knew that they were in a state where they felt defeated and they felt frustrated and overwhelmed. I said, look, I said, my purpose, I said, all of us fundamentally, our purpose is growing and giving. And you kind of share that too. It's like you have to grow. You have to grow yourself. And that's whether that's through knowledge or however you choose to grow is what you're going to use to grow. But the other part of that is giving, and you decide how you want to give. You have martial arts, you have kung fu, you have the communication schools, and those are the ways you give. And you also give by mentoring those who need help in this process of life that we call it. And there's so much power in that when you can give freely and help who needs to be helped in a way that feels efficacious to who you are, your values, your gifts, and what you're really passionate about. And I mean, so it's a testament to living, walking the walk, talking the talk. When I think about purpose, I always tell people. So for me, it's like it's really the five things that I'm really supporting. That's living my purpose driven life, and it's about awakening spirit in others. It's about building relationships, building meaningful relationships. It's about making connections when it comes to knowledge and information. It's about breaking molds and doing things that are outside of the norm, that are unconventional, that are not the status quo things that folks would expect you to do. And then ultimately it's about bringing joy. And as long as I am doing something, activity, a behavior that's aligning up with one of those things, then I feel like I'm living and working in purpose. And I look at work as just being the physical display of love,
Mhm.
right? Work is the physical manifestation of love because you're doing what you're passionate about. And not everybody gets an opportunity to do that. And but we all have the opportunity available to us. So this is the thing that that energizes me. We all have the opportunity available. We all have the capacity to do it as long as we can align ourselves to what we're called to do. We try to force it. I mean, I hear a lot of people talking, even I've changed my language. I hear a lot of people, I got to find purpose. You don't need to find your purpose. Purpose is there. You just need to step into who you are. I mean, you,
Oh,
you,
yeah.
you need to align with who you are, and it will become very clear to you. But it's almost kind of like it's, there's so much that has to change in language because when we communicate, if people don't understand what we're saying, or they have, or things mean something different, and we're not able to clarify that, to articulate it in a way that they can understand, then we're at it, we're passing each other. We're crossing lines when we could be aligning on the same frequency. And I think it's so important. I mean, in the communication we have non-consciously is even more powerful than what's happening out of when it comes to the words we're saying out of our mouth.
Oh, yeah.
So there's
You
that.
know, Paul, a couple of years, it's probably close to 10 years now. I give 2 people
Mhm,
an opportunity to work with me, and I don't charge them at all.
mhm,
So this year, it's $30,000 for
mhm,
2 people. And people go, "Whoa, you charge that much?" I said,
mhm,
"Actually, that's a discount price."
mhm,
Because if you and I knew the day we're gonna die, right? And I know you're big on this, so, that's why I'm bringing it up, right? But if I truly knew that I'm going to be this date, that time, exact time, pop up, I might live my life differently.
mhm,
But why wait? Why wait? What if I only had literally 3 days left? How much is my time worth?
mhm,
It's way more than $30,000. It's way more than $100,000,000. It's way more than $1,000,000,000. Each one of these 3 days is all I have left.
mhm,
If I wasted, wow, I have not lived that purpose that I know that's inside of me.
mhm,
So, do I give it all away so that others can benefit? And that's why I decided to take 2 clients on every year, absolutely no charge, but there's certain protocols that they have to meet.
mhm,
One, they will never in their mind at the time be able to afford me at all. Once we've gone through all the sessions that I go with them, they can easily afford me
mhm,
because the mindset has been changed. Abundance lives in us. The problem we have is when everybody shuts that door
mhm,
that we can actually open. Now, there's all different ways you can open a door. An elevator door, you push a button, the door opens. It can
mhm,
take you up or it can take you down. You make the choice. You can open a door with a your phone nowadays, right?
mhm,
You can open the door with a key. You can open it with a combination. There's so many different ways to open a door. You can open a bank vault door, but you need to know the right combination. Also, you need to be able to be the one that can open that door, right?
That's right.
Every door is put in front of us for a reason. Get that beautiful water. Every day, every one of us should wake up in gratitude. That is the best kept secret. Don't let it be a secret anymore. Let the world hear it. If you wake up in gratitude, you will live a better life. You'll be grateful for everything, for a butterfly. Listen, somebody says, "Oh, that's a bug." I said, that's a beautiful bug.
Mm-hmm.
That's a gross looking bug. Yes, but it's still a living creature.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that person? They're so nasty. I said, maybe they were put here on purpose to challenge someone to become better. Even a nasty person, a rotten person, has a purpose.
Yeah.
We may not like what they say. We may not even like what they do. And sometimes when they do it to us, we like it even less. But guess what? There is a purpose in life. And I love what you said before that people say, oh, I don't know what my purpose is. It lives in us. Now, somebody who may be rotten today may see the beauty that you bring, and your beauty is so incredible that it overwhelms them so much that all of a sudden they stop being that rotten tomato or that
Mm-hmm.
apple or whatever it is they are. And all of a sudden something clicks, boom, seeing life slightly bit different. It is up to us to shine the light on those who are in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
For the possible way that we can live a brighter day, a brighter life. Let the sun shine, even in darkness. You be the light that
Mm-hmm.
they need to see, right?
That's right. It's so powerful. And I know that as we talk, I probably say this every show, everyone, it sounds really easy.
Mm,
And it's simple, but it's not easy because we know that there are things that have to be done in order to get in that space. And part of that is the thing that everybody's afraid to do, and that's to do the internal work. But the internal work doesn't have to be seen as really, really difficult or hard. I mean, it can be a challenge because we're trying to get beyond our own belief systems. I was talking to a gentleman, another beautiful human, about mindset. And we were talking about some of the research, and it was a really good conversation because we kind of got into the science of it and the research. And part of the conversation was, well, you can't just focus on shifting mindset. Mindset shifts work about 4% of the time. And sometimes you just need to focus on changing the behavior, and then the behavior then will shift the mindset. And so I shared that with someone, and we're trying to figure out, what does that really mean? And I'll tell you how I interpret it, and then I'd certainly love to hear your opinion, because you work with shaping and shifting people, helping people shift. To change our mindset, you need belief, you need faith, and you need belief, right? Your belief gets stronger as you start getting evidence, start
mm,
receiving evidence that what you're believing is actually true. And and if it's not happening that way and nothing is happening, you have to have faith that it will. But as soon as you start getting evidence, you move from belief to knowing. And then you practice harder because now you got some evidence, and you'll do it even more so, and even so much more action until you get more evidence. And the more evidence you get, you go from belief to knowing. And once you start knowing, you don't have to believe it anymore. You know it's true. So it's almost as if you can just get people taking action. We've heard the sayings, fake it till you make it. That's the action taking, right?
right.
Take action. Stop waiting to have all the information available to you and to believe that you're a success, and just start acting like you're successful. Do the things that successful people do. And when things start aligning, you start getting the data, the feedback, the results that reinforces your belief, which then means you're going to take more action, which reinforces the receiving. And then, of course, your mindset shifts. So when I look at the evidence of it from the data, that kind of makes sense, right? And I see that based on the research and longitudinal studies. But I think that what's interesting is that when you try to put that into practice with humans, like with people, it's difficult for people to see what I just said.
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt.
Right, right. It's like you just have to do it, and even if you don't believe it's the, just do it. Take the step. It's not even, you don't even have to have it all mapped out. It's like take the first step. Ooh, okay, nothing happened here. Take the second
Mhm.
step. Ooh, okay, I'm still good. Take the third step. Wait a minute. I got a positive, some positive feedback. This might work. Take the fourth step. Take the fifth step. Oh, nothing happened there. Well, just keep on going. Keep on going. Did you know that people typically, the average human being gives up after 1.2 times of
Mm.
trying? Like literally, like one time they try one time. If it doesn't work out, they give up.
Oh, yeah.
That's blows my mind.
Yours and mine.
It blows my mind. And I don't know if that's a new occurrence, like a newer, like more recent within the last 100 years type of behavior, or is that just the way it's always been?
I have to believe it's always been that way. Think about
Mm,
cavemen. Let's go
mhm,
back to cavemen, right?
mhm,
The ones that took action survived.
mhm. Yeah.
The ones that didn't, there was somebody's meal,
Mhm,
right? I love your take on the mindset. I look at it this way, and when I say this to people, they think I'm a little nuts, which, by the way, I am.
mhm.
Hard is easy.
Mhm,
What do you mean hard is easy? Well, it's hard to do at first, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes.
mhm,
And what happens to people is they will do a couple of things that are hard and it becomes easy and they forget how hard it was. And
mhm,
therefore, when they see something else that's hard, they're like, oh, that's not for me. I can't do it. And so I ask them to reframe because we talked about communication and language. Say the word, which I love this word, yet. I can't
mhm,
do it yet. So when we think about mindset, we've all seen a movie or a show and we are experiencing all kinds of emotions. That's my camera,
mhm.
by the
Up
way.
close and personal.
Up and personal, totally personal. I'm gonna do this so I come back a little bit. So what winds up happening is we have all these emotions that we go through when we're watching a movie. Some people are crying, some people are laughing, and
Mhm.
movies are supposed to do that. Otherwise, they will not sell tickets.
That's right.
The problem we have is that we're not playing the right movies in our mind. I call it the theater of the mind. And
Mhm,
we're not watching us as the hero. We are the hero. We are the ones that beat the villain. And not because we have to kill them, is because we have to teach them. We have to understand that the movie that we play in our mind is based on our beliefs,
mhm,
is based maybe on our dreams. And there's nothing wrong with dreaming. And I always say, don't dream small. I've always said to somebody, listen, if I'm going to rob a bank, I'm not going to take $100,000. I'm going to take all the money they have, right?
mhm,
And I'm not going to rob from the poorest bank. I'm going to go to the best bank. Not that I would ever rob a bank, but if you're going to dream, dream bigger than ever, right? Same thing with the theater of your mind. Envision yourself. That's the mindset that I have. How am I going to tackle even today? How am
mhm,
I going to tackle next week? Next week, I'm going to be in 2 day speaking engagement. And during this time, I'm going to be connecting with humans. I'm going to be connecting with my brothers and sisters, even if I've never met them. And to me, it's a great opportunity to impact their lives, even if they really were meant to impact mine.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I believe I'm not worthy of impacting their lives, I should not even go.
Right.
I should cancel my engagement. It's not about engaging with every single person. Sometimes you can't do that. Depends how many people are out there. But the ones that want to hear what you have to say, those are the ones. And then guess what? If you impact them, maybe they'll share your message with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Everything goes back to the mindset of who am I? What value do I bring to the world? And I'm not talking about down the block from my house. I'm not talking at my business. I'm talking about the world. Who
Mm-hmm.
here is going to listen to this show in a different country? Many people, because Paul is going to make sure that happens.
What if personal growth wasn't meant to be a solo journey? What if the transformation you've been seeking isn't found in another self-help book, but can be found in a living, breathing ecosystem of growth? Welcome to the Becoming Human 2.0 Incubator, where conscious evolution meets authentic connection. Life isn't something that is just happening to you. It's calling you to step into something greater, to break through your limitations, to unlock your highest potential. But here's the truth. Transformation isn't meant to happen alone. Deep down, we all long for something more than self-improvement. We crave real human connection, a space where we are seen, understood, and supported in our evolution. That's why we created the Becoming Human 2.0 Incubator, a high-frequency space where seekers, world changers, and conscious leaders come together to evolve. Integrating our Becoming Human 2.0 blueprint, we merge science, ancient wisdom, and personal mastery to create deep, lasting transformation. Your journey? The 3 phases of evolution. Discover who are you and why are you here? Gain clarity, expand your awareness, and reconnect with your highest self. Awaken. Step into mastery. Optimize your heart, mind, body, and spiritual energy. Align with your purpose. Evolve. Embody your highest and true self. Sustain transformation. Live in flow and create meaningful impact. This isn't just another course, and it's not just another community. It's something much deeper. A space with purpose, a tribe, a living, breathing ecosystem of transformation, guided by the 5 pillars of human alchemy and the 7 domains of personal mastery. Here's what makes the incubator unique. A personalized, science-backed roadmap or path for true transformation without the hype. A real, connected tribe of like-minded humans. Not just another online group or activity-based community. Live coaching, expert mentorship, and energy-based practices. A fusion of modern science, ancient wisdom, and conscious alignment. And that is only the beginning. Now, you might be wondering if this is for you. So, if you're feeling stuck, disconnected, or craving a real path to mastery, if you know that you're meant for something greater, if you're feeling the call to help guide others in their personal journey, or if you're simply ready to evolve beyond limitations, then the incubator is definitely for you. Special invitation founding members offer. The first 20 individuals to join will gain access at a special grandfather founding members rate. This is a one-time opportunity before these spaces are filled. Are you ready to step into your highest potential? Join the Becoming Human 2.0 Incubator today. Comment Evolve or click the link below to get started. The next version of you is waiting. All right. All right. So, Sifu, we were talking about mindset. And I think what's really interesting and intriguing as we talk about mindset, because here's something interesting that I gleaned from a past guest. Actually, we were talking about mindset and the research around mindset. And so I know people are going to ask, well, how do I shift my mindset? Right. And I know that there are mindset coaches out there and folks putting a lot of effort around changing mindset. But here's some interesting research. Mindset work works about 4% of the time. It's effective
Mm.
4% of the time. Translation, 96% of the time, it's not effective at all. And when I first heard that statistic, I was kind of like, whoa, that's interesting. But as you dive deeper into it, there's a little bit more to it, right? There's some value in shifting behavior and allowing the mindset to follow. And what I mean is that sometimes, in order for mindset work to be successful, you have to believe on a cellular level
Mm.
that whatever this thing is that you're supposed to believe in is 100% true. Cellularly, not just in your head, like cellularly, because your emotions have to align. I mean, everything about you has to align with that. And sometimes it's more useful or more effective to make tiny shifts in behavior in order to get evidence to support the small shifts, and those small shifts then become the change, and you start to believe in the change, and then you keep taking more action and then more things start to line up because you got more belief, and that more belief then makes you take more action, and suddenly your mindset is shifted because you have evidence to support that what you believe is true, right?
Mhm.
And there's a huge difference between believing and knowing.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, belief takes faith,
Right.
and we put a lot of belief into a lot of things. Knowing takes evidence,
Mm.
and then the evidence then shapes belief because you already know.
Mm.
I've
I'm gonna
watched
add perception to that.
perception. Yeah. Well, absolutely. Yeah. Talk more about that because I'm with you.
Well, knowing is what I perceive to be the truth, right? And
Yes.
when we think about the truth, it's our own understanding of it.
Hmm.
Your truth may be different than my truth and everybody else who's watching the show. This is why police officers sometimes have trouble with getting the facts of a situation that they have witnesses because it's hearsay.
Yes.
Think about it. If an accident happens and you have four people in the middle of an intersection, you have four people at the intersections of each intersection, everybody saw it differently.
Right.
So it was their perception of what they saw. And so what happens is for a good detective or a good investigator to say, well, these add up, these don't add up. And then, if possible, is there video?
Hmm.
And the angle of the video may even change the truth.
Yes.
So the truth is, it's a, I'm going to put it an eloquent thing that we can look for
Hmm.
in ourselves and in the outer world. But most importantly, I think the perception really comes where we define how we interpret what we see, what we hear, what we feel. Because the conscious mind, especially the subconscious, doesn't know if this is real or not real.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So perception.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say subjective truth, right?
Oh,
And
yes.
it's subjective truth. I mean, it is based on the perception. I've talked about the eyewitness accounting data for a couple of years after the research came out because now it's not allowed in the court of law, right? The eyewitness accounts, because it's like, well, you saw what was available to you at the time, and who knows if you were distracted by something else, which is why you didn't see X, Y, and Z, or potentially did see certain things. It's where you're directing your attention at the time.
Mm. That's why they ask questions like, sir, I see you're wearing glasses. Let me ask you, you got out of bed, you went to your window. Did you put your glasses on?
Mhm.
So that's somebody who's pretty smart in
Yeah.
understanding that what you may have seen may have been blurry,
Hmm.
and so therefore your perception has been blurred.
Yeah. And it's an interesting thing to think about more broadly. I think that I was sharing something a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and I was saying that there are 4 billion people on social media.
Mm.
There's 8 billion people on the planet. Like literally, there's. I mean, I asked Google, and Google said there was 4 billion people on social media, and there were 4 billion people, obviously, who are not on social media. And of course, I
You
was
mean the
one.
smart ones?
Yeah, I think I said something like that too. I was like, well, that's interesting. I said, I wonder how the 4 billion who aren't on social media perceive the world.
Mm.
How do they perceive the world? Because social media, for many people, shapes the world that we are observing.
Yeah,
And if what's in your feed is all negative, then you have a pretty
mm,
negative perception of the world.
that's it.
If all you are receiving is positive, and I guess you have a positive perception of the world, or at least it's the part of your feed that favors you, right? Because the algorithms show us what we click on, right?
Right.
So if you're clicking on things that are positively feeding your mind, you're going to see more of that, and vice versa, and all the things in between. As we so eloquently know, we start to think about the things that drive us and drive human behavior. But it's interesting that we really don't see very
Mm,
much of anything in our reality. I mean, we have a very limited scope on the bandwidth of frequencies that we can see with our occipital lobe. I'm not saying eyes. The eyes are just the windows, right?
mm.
Let the light in. Then the brain interprets those signals and then decides what and then paints a picture for us in our brain. Like, so are we even seeing this? I mean,
Yeah.
that's or what that really looks like. I mean, it's almost kind of like, when people start talking about the matrix, it's almost like we're creating a construct.
I was walking with somebody in the park and they jumped. And I said, "What's the matter?" "It's a snake." I go, "No, it's not.
Mm,
It was a branch, but it
mm,
actually looked like a snake."
mm.
And I said, "A snake with a, you know, you can see it." They're like, "No, it's a snake." I'm like, "I'm going to go look." "No, don't do it." I said, "It's okay." So I picked it up. They're like, "Oh my gosh." And then we had a good laugh.
Mhm.
But it is, our eyes sometimes do deceive. They do deceive what we're looking at because of the angle, the light, everything. So a lot of times, is it okay if I tell a joke?
Absolutely.
All right.
I'm going to make it adults only now.
No, it's a funny joke.
Okay.
So there's a guy. He's walking down the street. He goes, "Oh my gosh, that looks like poop. Smells like poop. Tastes like poop." So the real joke was on him that he didn't believe
Mm,
what he saw.
mhm.
So it's not really a funny joke, but it's the joke that we don't always believe. And a good thing the poop wasn't talking, because then he would have said, "Sounds like poop,"
Sounds
right?
like boots.
So perception is what we allow to be the truth. If
Mm,
we hear something,
mhm,
is that the truth? If we see something, is that the truth? Do we feel it? Is that the truth? Do we have to taste it? Is that the truth? Do we have to? So, did somebody else tell us, right? So that's listening to it as well.
mhm,
So everything that we have the ability, we have five senses. What happens to people who have lost or were born without one of the senses?
mhm,
Sight,
mhm,
sound. And I'm sure there's people out there who don't have the feeling as much as we do. And some people have a better sense. One of my clients was a cologne and perfume designer. He still is. And at the time, in 1984, when he was my client, his nose was insured for $10 million
Mm,
because he can smell everything. He would walk in a room and smell things you didn't even know.
mm-hmm.
And so his nose was insured for $10 million because this is the guy that created Stetson
Okay.
cologne.
Okay.
He
Wow.
created Norma Kamali, right? It was at the time, 1984 was $480 an ounce. This is how many years ago?
Mm,
Think about that,
mm,
right? This guy, now his nose would be insured for, 100 million probably, because when he did these things, he would create something that was based on one particular sense, his nose, his smell. He, and I said to him, I said one time, I said, so how do you make these colognes? And there's a lot of famous ones that are out there that he's created. And he wound up telling me it takes over 200 chemicals to create like Stetson
mm,
or any other Drakkar. He created that. So when we think about what it takes to create something,
mm,
it was fascinating. One time I was out, we went out to eat, and I said to him, I said, I'm going to put your nose to the test. I said, you're having this sauce. It was a red sauce. And I said, what's in it?
mm.
He smelled it, and he didn't just say, tomatoes and basil. He went through a list of all the different things that were in it. I was like, okay, you're in. But when we think about what we really even smell, we only smell a certain portion. There's other things in it that we're not getting the full sense of. When
Mm-hmm.
we see an image, that's why illusionists are well known. This is why they can trick right in front of us.
Yep.
We get tricked because we're not seeing every little detail. So for me and for you, I know how you love details. For me, details are fundamental.
Mm-hmm.
They're fun and they create mental capacity for us to understand more. So for me, when I was younger, I used to do architectural drawings.
Mm-hmm.
And my drawings used to be also put in Architectural Digest magazine. So for me, it was the details that made those drawings come alive. And so even now, when I do murals and all these different things, I look at the details so I can make sure that I capture. So when I put a drawing on a wall, or I do it on paper, or I do it on anything, when I'm creating something, I also own a wood shop. So when I'm creating something, there's going to be things in this piece of furniture that I'm making, or this walk-in closet, or this kitchen that the client will never see,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they should never see it because it's what holds it together. It's the beauty. It's the details that make the outer shell the most beautiful thing. When you look at a human being, you don't go, "Oh, wow, I wonder what their liver looks like," unless they're drinking a lot. I wonder, what their veins look like. I wonder what their digestive tract looks like or their esophagus. No, we don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all of these different things, all the bones in the body that makes a person. So we take the littlest things for granted and we don't appreciate every little thing that's in front of us.
Oh yeah. Wow. A whole lot to unpack there. You said a lot of things about perception, about the senses. In what came to mind was a million things, but like what really came to mind initially was when someone hones that sense, like you're talking about your client sense of smell, right? And it was honed. And of course, the thing that immediately came to mind was I was wondering, was there another sense that may have been depreciated, or maybe there was limited. Because sometimes some people can't see, and when they can't see, their sense of smell or their sense of hearing becomes heightened. But the reality is that we can all hone all of these senses if we have the curiosity,
Oh yeah.
right? First, the curiosity to want to, because as you were explaining all the other things about humans, and you don't think about, I want to see their liver or their veins, but you know what? There is, a specialist out there who is very intrigued by the system of veins in the entire human body, right? They're interested in the cardiovascular system. I mean, Da Vinci was, he drew a human being
Mm.
from the inside out, right?
Mm.
And it was like, how did you get all that detail? He was interested and
Uh-huh.
intrigued, which helped him create some of those things. And I think that it's really a testament to, I I'm going to say it because and I'm going to say it incredulously in many respects, because this part of me is kind of like, is that really true? Have we
Mm.
lost, as human beings, have we lost curiosity?
I'm gonna say no.
Hmm.
I'm gonna say that we sometimes wait for someone else to show us things. So we
Hmm.
are somewhat curious, but we're going to just sit back on the couch and Netflix, or we're going to play video games and we're going to do all these things. I want to go back to you mentioned one of the most incredible human beings that I've heard of is Da Vinci.
Hmm.
The vision. He was able to draw things that he never experienced.
Hmm.
He drew a helicopter
Hmm.
that was not even invented. Oh my goodness. Oh my, the vision. It either came to, I don't know how he got that vision, how he was able to draw that. And when we can use this incredible gift that we have every day about curiosity, about creating, those are the things that the sharpest minds in the world use that still today. Creativity, curiosity, that's where our future is. This is why I believe that our kids need to be sharper than ever. Unless we're going to go back and back to the Stone Age where they're just like, they're not speaking well, they're not communicating because they're losing communication tactics because they're using this thing. They're not. So we need to keep pushing them, instilling curiosity in them, challenging them so that they go, wow, I can do more. I
Hmm.
am worth more. But if I just keep playing this video game and let my mind just wander, and the only thing that I care about is did I shoot that guy? Or did I climb that tree? Or did I swim in this river? Or did I pass in this video game? Not even in real life. So I don't even know what it takes to throw a football because I throw it on my game. I don't know how to dribble. I'm going to fumble. I don't know how to run. I don't know how to move. And that's what some of the kids are going to wind up learning the
Hmm.
hard way because life is going to throw curveballs at them.
Everything's not the simulation. It's one of the driving forces behind the movement I started.
Mm.
Because I started thinking about, and I used to be a tech guy. I used to be heavily into technology. Um, when I left the technology world, I was a deputy CIO, but I had done all the things from programming all the way up,
Mm.
operations, architecture, design, early adopter, and all of it. Like if you had new technology, I was in it. And technology is a beautiful thing because, on one
Mm.
hand, we talk about our kids and playing the video games. I've watched the technology in video games just improve like 100-fold so
Oh my
fast.
God.
The things that the kids look at now, we were playing Pong.
That's right.
I mean,
The little things.
two little
Ding, ding,
sticks with
ding.
a ball bouncing in me, with a digital ball
And
bouncing
that
in
was
between.
fun.
And that was fun. And then we had Pac-Man and all the other stuff, and then we saw that technology boom. And you're right. You mentioned the kids, and it's like the kids don't learn. They don't know how to do cursive anymore. Many kids don't know how to write anymore. Many kids don't know how to do basic mathematics anymore. We don't teach kids how to settle and manage and navigate their emotions.
Mhm.
Um, we look at things like meditation as this woo-woo forbidden thing that that some people want to bring in
Did you say
schools.
cursive?
Yeah.
So
Right.
I write in cursive every single day, and I've had some youngsters go, "What's that?"
Hmm.
And I'm like, "It's English."
Yeah.
Or Spanish, whatever I'm writing in. And then they're like, "Oh wow." I said, "They don't teach that in school." Not really, because everything is typing,
Hmm.
or you're gonna type it in on a computer, and the kids, I've never seen kids use their thumbs as fast as I've seen lately.
Hmm.
They're like on a phone, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't even use my thumbs that fast." But here's the thing, right? Technology is the greatest asset that we have currently,
Hmm.
because understanding hand-to-eye coordination is critical.
Yep.
The video games were created initially for fighter pilots.
Yeah. Combat.
For real,
Yes,
right?
I know.
And now we're trying to combat the kids not to use it, but I encourage kids to use it,
Hmm.
but not for 8 hours in a row. More like, you know what? Let's let you unwind, but let's get that hand-to-eye coordination, maybe 20, 30 minutes tops. And then let's get you outside. Let's
Hmm.
get you moving the body. And then that should be a reward. Parents use it the wrong way around.
Yeah.
I've seen people in strollers take their iPad and hand it to their baby who's maybe 14 months old.
Hmm.
And they're like, "Oh yeah, he loves this game, or he loves this adventure." And I'm like, "Wow. How about the adventure could see in front of him, or
See in
she
front
can
of
see?"
them. Yeah, the child's on record for the first 7 years, and the first thing we do is put a monitor in front and show them all the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, and everything wrapped up in one ball in one screen.
Mhm.
And without, and I think that people innately know that everything that we do has an impact, has a direct impact on our children. But then sometimes I think we forget because parenting is hard. We don't have the manual for these things. I remember saying the same thing too when my kids were born. We don't
I
have a
was born
manual.
with a manual. I was born with Come on, Paul.
Come on.
I was born with a manual. Oh gosh, my parents lost it. That's what happened. My
That's what
parents lost the
happened. That's what
manual. Oh
happened.
my goodness. If they had the manual, man, where would I be
Well, where
today?
would we be? I mean, and I don't want to poo-poo on all of it because I think that, because as we were talking, I was like, well, yeah, cursive is, we're not, kids don't write anymore. But I mean, I remember the time when we were learning cursive, there were people who were older than me complaining that we don't know how to do block print anymore. We don't know how to do calligraphy anymore. These are
Mhm.
lost arts. I think, well, let me say, I look at calligraphy as an art. Maybe we'll look at
It is
cursive
art.
as an art too. But I feel like when we start to rely on the technology to do the things versus using the tool to kind of, I mean, sometimes you do want to speed things up. You want to
Oh yeah,
mix it by hand or you want to use a hand blender. I mean,
that's
I'd
right.
rather use a blender than mix it up by hand. Sometimes there's some things that are better when you
Right.
use the old methods.
Yeah, I don't
And
want my steak blended, if you know
no,
what I mean.
exactly. So there is this argument that there are some things that the technology obviously speeds up and makes more efficient. But I think there's
Mhm.
some things, like you said, There's hand-eye coordination. Well, you can use a machine to do that. You can use a speedball to do that. You can do a lot of things. I mean, you can play games with your children and do that. I mean, how about, so let's do a game of jacks and
Mm.
pick up sticks. I mean,
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, it's almost like, and what's interesting about when I say those games, and of course, there's a lot of nostalgia behind that when I said it, like it kind of came up in my body, but I was also thinking like, yeah, but we also got to create, like it stimulated creativity at the same time. And I'm not saying technology doesn't do that, because I think technology does. But when you start talking about our kids need to be even more prepared and more ahead, when you start talking about putting chips in the kids, let's put a chip in Johnny's brain when they're
Oh
born, and
my
they'll have access to
God.
the entire internet, and they'll have all the information. They won't even have to go to school anymore.
God.
I don't know if you want to do that, because if you lose the ability to learn, what
What's left?
what's left? What's left? Because you don't
Can we
know.
go back to Jax for a second? Because I think a lot of people may not even
What is
understand
a
what you
jack?
meant by Jax, right? So it's these little things, right? Either plastic or metal, and you have a little ball and you throw it up and you try to grab as many as you can,
Like
and you
two
compete
crosses
with
that were
your
put
friends.
together, like two crosses that were put together, so it's like three
Yeah,
dimensional.
basically.
Yeah, yeah, I love it.
But those are games where we create a challenge, we create a movement, and when you're talking about these games, you're talking about technology. The games that we have today for kids still encourage them to do something, to go up a level, if you will, if there's levels in the game, to
Hmm.
get better, to get more ammunition, to get more guns, to more stuff, right? But give a kid, I'm not talking about a 8-year-old, but give a 2 or 3-year-old kid a toy, and then give them a big box about their size and put them in the box or move the box. They will want to play at the box more because they still have curiosity.
Hmm.
And so we're born curious.
Hmm. Absolutely.
What happens is, do we want to take that away? So earlier, when you said, is there curiosity? And I said yes, because when you look at a child, and the child may be looking this way, but they hear something like,
Hmm.
they turn, right? So there is that curiosity. I know because I constantly teach little kids, and if they hear something, they're like, oh, what's that's got to be better, more fun than what you're
We're
doing.
doing.
So, but here's the thing, and you also talked about pickup sticks and physicality and all that. For me, when I take on a new client, the first thing I say to them is, I want to see how you move.
Hmm.
And they're like, what do you mean? Well, depends on what I'm training you with. Either you're going to do these couple of exercises. I want to see how you move. Don't try to be perfect. Just move like you normally would, because then I know what to fix,
Hmm.
what to help with. So for me, it's an assessment of alignment.
Yeah.
And what happens is we don't assess our own alignment
Hmm.
because we get stuck in doing the same thing over and over and over and again. And you kind of touched upon it earlier. Habits. Habits are, you can't get rid of a habit.
Hmm.
For me, right? I understand habits so much. That's why I'm able to help people change their habits. You have to replace a habit with another
Something.
one.
Hmm. Exactly.
And so if you come home and oh man, I had a hard day. I think I have to have a beer, I have to have a drink, or I have to have a cocktail. What happens is you're hiding from what is really present, which is you didn't handle your hard day.
Hmm.
How can you handle that? People are emotional eaters. And the reason they say they're emotional eaters is because guess what? They're hiding from what's there. They don't want to think about it. They've had too much. I'm like, oh no, I gotta cover up. I'm just gonna consume all these different things. And so people who become emotional eaters, they use that as an escape route
Mhm.
instead of facing the truth, as we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
What's really happening.
Mhm. I love the language around alignment. Yeah, that's been my language that I've been shifted. Well, I will say this. I'll say I've shifted to a lot of that language more recently because I've noticed I'll say in the physical, in the wellness and well-being world, in the personal development world, there's been a lot of discovering and finding language. Like you've lost it and you need to find it again, or you need to find this. And I think that everything that we need is within us already. It's more just about aligning to it because we have behaviors, we have perceptions, we have beliefs, we have values, and these things have been kind of instilled upon us, right? You know, going back to our children thing. I mean, when you're a kid, you're on record, and there's this curiosity, and you're just taking all the information in. And depending on what information you're being fed, that's going to shape perceptions, beliefs, values, everything. Right? And when we're born, we have the curiosity is innate within us. When we're born, we have the purpose to serve and to love and all that capacity already within us. There's a reason why we're here. The information that we get fed starts to divert us and steer us away from those, I'll say those absolute truths, maybe those natural truths, maybe those universal truths. I'm not really sure how to label it, but and I don't like to use the labels, but there is a universality around we're born with curiosity. We're born having purpose. We're born in love or with love in us. It's just a matter of cultivating it and having us align to those frequencies so that we don't forget it. I'm not going to say never because we can always do some experiences, do some focus. I hate. I've been trying to steer away from saying the word "do the work" because every time we say "do the work," people they associate that with being hard. You got to do the work. That's too hard, man. I'm comfortable just like I am. I don't want to do the work, right? No, you don't want to do the work, but you want to live an abundant life. No, you don't want to do the work, but you want to be fulfilled. No, you don't want to do the work, but you want to attain all your dreams. But until you realign yourself with those dreams, with that abundance, with that manifestation, with that you fill in the blank, perfect relationship or fulfilling relationship, if you don't do the alignment piece, then we never really fully receive what it is that is truly meant for us.
That's right.
Right? And so in your work, I know you focus a lot on the physical, but part of that obviously is the mental and the emotional and the spiritual, right? And and I call it out that way, but I mean I think that, and I know you do too. It's not mutually exclusive, and I think a lot of people and practitioners, no matter where they are in this space, we like to specialize. I'm going to focus on the physicality. I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to focus on that. And as much as that probably feels like it's brain friendly to the masses of people out there, it really does do us a disservice because if you, I mean, I love it. I want to see you move, but see, the way you move is going to be indicative to how you think and what you believe and how you feel about yourself. I mean, so it's like, so all of these things are part of it.
Yeah.
And there's, so I've been talking about there's not work, now there's aligning or realigning, right? This is a realignment. You need to realign yourself physically. You need to realign yourself emotionally, spiritually, mentally. And when we bring ourselves back in alignment, maybe we can see the technology as a tool to help us, but not as the thing that's going to be the savior or replace the things that we don't want to do.
Right.
I fear that, like I said, we were talking about the kid thing, and you know, and I've talked about it before in other episodes, and I think that people have probably heard that or will hear it and think that that's not really going to happen to our children. That's not really a conversation. I'm like, oh yes, it is. I mean, you just you're just not in the right circles to hear those conversations. But the transhumanism movement has been around for a couple decades, and that's the conversation. And I don't fault people for thinking about the advances and the, I'll say, for lack of a better word, miracles that we will experience. Technology will be able to very soon save people's lives from all things. All right, you put somebody in a capsule, in a hospital capsule. It will do this medical thing, assess, and the technology will just do the thing, and it will heal the body and potentially cure it from all the ailments. Potentially, I mean, there will still be things that will happen to us acutely that it won't be able to fix. But wow, the things that it will be able to do, that'll be pretty amazing. Yet, you know, even in our conversation, we talk about the power of our minds and the power of our belief systems and the power of that's within us energetically. We have the ability and capacity to do all those same things, right? And some of us believe it and some of us know it. and, and the people that know it are people that are the folks out there that share those things and share those experiences and potentially share those miracles and actually do help people energetically shift this belief system or shift this ailment. I mean, I've seen some amazing miracles, and people will go, "Well, that person can do it." Well, yeah, but you can too.
That's
If
right.
if you're curious enough and you want to put in enough focus and attention so that you can realign with what already exists within. And somewhere along the lines, and I've talked about this in a talk before, it's like, you know, who are the dream killers? I mean, there's a shift. And sometimes it happens early on, sometimes it happens later in life, but it's usually due to belief system. It could be external forces, it could be trauma, it could be loss, it could be a lot of things that shifted. But I think that, you know, when we talk about people feeling stuck or people feeling like in despair or there's a lot of chaos or all these things, and I know I've said it, I've heard you say it before, I've heard a lot of people say it, you know, it's like, well, you got to look within first, right? Look within first. It's all this is happening there. Those are perceptions. Not saying what you're perceiving happening is not happening, not saying that. It's just that if you can perceive something different, you can create something different. And if you can create something different, then you can shift. You can become the architect. And if you're the creator, you become the architect, and the architect can change things. You know, Da Vinci drew a helicopter intricately. You know, some would say divine intervention. Maybe he had experience with, I don't know what they call them now, not extraterrestrial. They call them something else now. I don't know what they call them now.
Aliens.
They don't say aliens. They have a different name for it, and it's kind of like I can't even keep up with it. What it,
Right.
something not of this earth. But was that really something not of this earth, or did he just tap into something non-local, like we all have the ability to do consciously or non-consciously, if you will? And he tapped into the universal field, or he tapped into the ether, or he tapped into another level of consciousness, and that image was presented to him. He's not here. We can't ask him. But you know,
Darn it.
darn it, right? But you know, it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. And for me, those things are just those. For me, that's just further evidence that all those things are possible. If we can think it, then the potential exists. Is if we can think it. Um, and if it's, if it's thought of, it's already created. It's out there. It's just a matter of you aligning to the frequency to get it. And then, which kind of takes us back to the whole mindset conversation that we're having in the beginning, because I talked about sometimes you just got to take action. Sometimes you just got to see the small things and build evidence.
Mm.
What's the most effective way from your perspective on shifting mindset? Because
Oof.
I think that's the thing that we all, we all struggle with it. I mean, as much as I know about it, my mindset sometimes drifts and it gets stuck.
For me, I've trained, thousands upon thousands of people in mindset, in shifting, in aligning with who they're meant to be. So for me, it's easy to see somebody watch what they're doing, and when we talk about movement, bowel movement is an important one. There's people who specialize just in that
Mm-hmm.
because you know what you let go has so many many tails, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, in all the years I've been doing what I've been doing, people always ask me, how do I live? How do I do things? How come I always have energy? All these things. Because I went into alignment at a very, very early age. And I understood the principles that drove me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I start every day with intentions, and I've done it since I was a little kid. What
Mm-hmm.
is my day going to look like? If we start that way, we can take on anything. We can be creative. We can do things. I can literally walk into an empty space, and depending on either it's for me or somebody else, I can design that space in my head
Mm-hmm.
before I draw it out.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it happening. And I did that with one of the houses I had. And I walked in, and at the time, my ex wife said, "Oh, no." And I said, "Oh, you don't see the potential."
Mm-hmm.
When I finally talked to the homeowner, of course, I like to negotiate, and we got it almost $100,000 less than she was willing to let go for it. And then the real estate agent was really upset because we were not supposed to talk to her. But hey, I know I like to talk to people. So
Mm-hmm.
when I knew this is what I wanted, when I went into that house, I said, "This is going to be my house. This is what's going to look like." And literally, the day of closing, I got the keys. The next day, I already started demolition.
Mm-hmm.
In 2 days, that house, we gutted the whole inside, everything from plumbing to electrical to everything. And we only left the certain walls up. But I already knew that this was happening. And the homeowner came like 4 days later just to say, "How's it going?" And she goes, I said, "Oh, you can't go in the house right now." I said, "It's very dangerous." She goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "I got it." She goes, "My house, my house." I said, "Yes, it was your house.
It
But
was.
I have a vision, and I want to invite you
Mm-hmm.
when I have it finished." And I created this oasis that I had in my head, but it came exactly the way I wanted it. But it's when you have the intention, and my whole life has been that way. I foresee things. I pray to God and I ask Him to give me the visions so I can carry my day, to guide me every day. That's why I started Sifu's Mind Body Method. It's not a Sifu's Mind Body work it or
Mm-hmm.
work out or just do it. It's a method that you have to incorporate your mind, your
Mm-hmm.
body, your belief. You have to write a contract with yourself, and you can't break it. Otherwise, it's also not a diet, because everybody goes for diets, and guess what? Then they go to another
Then
diet.
they go another diet.
And then so also it's not hard. It's about taking the baby steps, because we all know of this program out there, and I'm not knocking it. It's called 75 Hard.
Mm-hmm.
And some people have been very successful. They go 75 hard. Yeah. They even sometimes get the t shirt. But then what happens for the next 75 days? They go soft.
Right.
maybe the next 100 days, or maybe, and then they go, I got to do this program
Gotta
again.
get back on it
And
again.
what happens is they become the proponents, or the believers of, I can only do it if I go hard. But
Mm-hmm.
what if you did it in a way that it was easy yet sustainable? So you
Yeah.
no longer have to go into a diet. Take out the T. What does that mean? I got to die to have
Mm.
this success? No, you should live. That's why I called it a method, right? And when we can take the mind and the gut are connected, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the second brain that we have is our gut. And when we don't feed it right, it's gonna go out there and it's gonna go, oh, you're not taking care of me? Oh, look at that. Excess fat, excess this. Oh, look, you have a roll here, you have a roll here. And all of a sudden I can't go up the stairs, I can't breathe right, I can't do all these different things. So with that in mind, everything we've been talking about is, and it comes down to the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we talked about the different values of truth, but it comes down to the truth of, who do you believe you are?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the old, do you know who you're talking to kind of nonsense. It's not that. It's, I am who I am because of the actions I take every day, so I can live the best life and the life I was meant to live.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
love it.
love chatting with you, but my time is coming up because
Time is coming up. Well, we're gonna
I
have to
get
continue this.
boogieing. So
Yeah, we'll continue another time. I mean, I love it because it falls right in line with with what I do, and it resonates so much because it is really about aligning to who we're truly meant to be, right? And of course, we had to figure out who that is. And it's really about coming back to it, not finding it, but coming back to it. And it's a lifestyle, right? It's a testament to when people listen to this show and they hear me talking about, you know, we do an intention setting every morning. I do a meditation with the group every morning in the tribe, and the reason, and a gratitude practice, and the reason why that is so we don't start the day leaving it up to chance and then hoping that everything will just work out. There is intentionality behind everything that we envision, or we're better served if there is. Things seem to work out a little bit better. And I think, you sharing your experience and your story just shows that, hey, look, if I've been doing this for a long time, but the beautiful thing is there are folks out there who aren't doing it. And guess what? You can start right now, like right
mhm,
now.
that's
Sifu's
right.
God is my embodied method. I have my, evolve human potential, becoming human 2.0, framework for that. And, there's a scorecard that assesses where the misalignments are occurring, because you really can't do anything. And I love how you talk about it. I assess whether I need to see you move first. Let's see where the misalignment is so we know where to start, right? And I think that's the whole thing. Like, we do this, and people will participate in that process, but when it really comes down to real change, sustainable change, lifestyle impacting legacy change, you have to do the assessment first. You need to know where you are,
Yeah.
and then you can then make a commitment intentionally to do what it takes to shift it. And it doesn't have to be hard, right? It doesn't
Right.
have to be hard. It
Life
could
is
be
hard already. It's already hard. Why do we have to make it harder?
well, we got to make it harder, but it does take effort. It does take focus. It does take being curious. It does take a little bit of creativity. It does take a little bit of listening. It does take a little bit of action daily, right? It doesn't, it's just this, like you said, small steps.
Mm,
It's the small things.
mhm.
Um,
Listen,
Sifu, yes.
movement, if you're not having movement every day, you need to see your doctor. Let's talk about that, right? Because
Walk to your doctor.
if with everything in life, if something is not happening right, and Listen, I only see doctors to get blood work because for my physical, but I take zero medication,
Mhm.
none, and I don't intend to. I've had knee surgeries from a car accident, and when they gave me pills because, oh, you're going to be in pain, I'm like, if I have pain, that means I'm alive. I'm grateful.
Mm,
So no, thank you for the pills. I take no pills, no painkillers,
mm,
none of that,
mm,
because for me, I want to feel that I'm
mhm,
alive.
mhm,
Pain means that something is being fixed. My body is the best machine ever. It's going to go in there, it's going to help heal it. So if I'm in pain, if I had a surgery, that means that it's healing, right?
mhm.
If listen, if you got cut on your finger, right? If it's not a huge cut, yeah, you put a band-aid on it because you don't want germs going into it. But guess what? The body's going to heal it.
That's right.
So allow your body to be the most incredible thing ever.
I love it. My brother, I think that's the most powerful message that we can leave everyone with. I certainly enjoy having you on the show. I love our conversations. I love our connection, our friendship, our camaraderie, our brotherhood.
Absolutely.
All of that. And so with that, I'm going to let you go. We will certainly come together again really soon. Um, for those out there listening, I'll be leaving Sifu Rafael's information in the episode notes. I'll be leaving some information around the Becoming Human 2.0 movement. We'll be leaving some of Sifu's Mind Body Method program in the notes as well. So you have access to that. And the thing is, it's the small steps, everyone. It's the small steps. All right. Thank you, Sifu. I look forward to our next conversation. Everyone else out there, just remember that we're all here to discover, awaken, and evolve together. Take care.
All right. God bless.